All right, guys. So, every test we're going to make a formula sheet. And you can just bring all the formula sheets. I love it. You guys had classes where the formula sheet could only be on a 3x5 card or something?
Yeah.
No, some of you guys, well, you know they exist.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, when I get to be like 60 or something, I mean, like, you gotta write them all on a grain of rice. So to me, it's really dumb. As long as you don't bother anyone near you, you can bring in reams of paper and have one formula written really big on a piece of paper. I don't care. So a normal size sheet of paper, you can bring several of them. You can accumulate them over time. You can lose points on your formula sheet if you have too much on it. So we're going to go over exactly what you're allowed to have on it. Does everybody understand that?
Yes.
Obviously, it's not fair if you put some examples and somebody else doesn't have that. That ain't fair, right? So, can somebody bring the lights back up? Thank you, sir. So this first formula sheet is going to be very tiny. We don't really have a lot of formulas yet. The whole first chapter was the best chapter yet. Just definitions. And then chapter 2, I'm not going to let you write down the class width formula. You just got to know how to do that. I mean, how do you figure out the class width for a histogram?
Pi minus rho divided by 5.
Pi minus rho divided by 5. That's right. So you got to know that. So really the first formula that we hit, to be honest, you don't have to write this one down because you know how to do this, but if I'm you, I probably would do this anyway, because I'm going to want to kind of see that. So there's the mean, and then the x bars, it's the same freaking equation, right? So what's nice is a formula sheet. You'll actually see later this semester there are formulas that are notes themselves, which is neat. If you can read a formula in English, it is a note. So we'll see if you get that later. We're not quite there yet. So here at least you remember what the symbols are. You can't write population up here, do you understand? Do you get me?
No.
I don't want to see any words unless the word is the symbol for the thing. I don't want to see words. I don't want to see some cryptic thing on the side. That's your own little language. I don't want to see stuff that's been crossed out. I don't want to see paper that's been ripped because I don't know when that happened. I need to see a nice whole piece of paper with just the formulas on it that we put up here. What's that? Oh.
So you're saying I can't write like the population mean equals the sum of all x over the number of values? Because like when I write an equation, sometimes it helps me to write out the symbols and words, so I know. Like,
I understand, but no, you can't. Because part of what I'm testing on is you got to know what the symbol means. So part of me wanted to be really snarky and say I did write that. That's population mean, because that is the math word for population mean. And so part of what you need to do with this class is know what the symbols mean, right? So that's why I don't want you to write words. Know why this is mu and this is x bar, because this is population, this is sample. I like it. Maybe. So yeah, if you're not here today, it's for you too. You can't put shit down. I wasn't here. Well, somehow you found out you could have a formula sheet, so. So the most important formula I think we're going to have is this guy, right? And I would put right next to it right? Please realize that square is there. They're really the same formula. They both say x minus the middle. Why is that n minus 1? Because that's an adjustment, because it's a sample. That's why it gets gets our letter for this, because it's a sample variance. Now, if you want to, you can stop there and just remember to take a square root, or below there you could write sigma equals big ass square root of all this shit, and s equals big ass square root of all that shit. You guys with me?
Yeah, so that's the median of the sample and population, and then on the bottom is the standard deviation of the sample and population.
The only thing you got wrong there is I don't have a median up there anywhere. This is the mean. Cool. And those don't have to be anywhere near each other in general. They can be very different. Believe it or not. All right, maybe.
So that's the equation for variance.
Good. I like it. That's variance. And that's standard deviation. I love it. How are we doing so far? Is that all right? Anybody have...
What are the equations to the right there?
So again, these are the same equation. It's just that this is for a sample. And this is for a population.
That's why you have to subtract the one.
Yeah, n minus 1 is a adjustment because it's just a poor little sample. Good. I like it. Bless you. And then there's one last formula, the one we just learned today. At least that I remember. Let me put it up here. Let me put two of these up here. Become a mu. So see, already somebody could say, look at me and go, didn't you say the z-score formula is always the same? And didn't your silly self just write to, they're both the same. Data point, that I'm curious about, minus the middle, divided by the spread. Data point minus the middle divided by the spread. It's always the same formula. Maybe. If you don't quite understand what I mean by that, it don't matter. You're going to be able to write them all down anyway. So if I have a population, I use that. If I have a sample, I use this. Z-scores really don't care themselves. Yes?
If I have two columns, one for the population, one for the sample, we don't actually write the word sample or population.
Yeah, so you can do just what I did. Yeah, you can break these up. Yeah, you can be smart about how you organize your formulas all day long. I can't say anything about that. But yeah, I just don't want to see the words. And I don't want to see, like I said, I don't want to see, hold up to the light and say, oh, you did something weird there. Yeah.
I don't know, but for me sometimes, like, even if I know them, it helps while I'm in the test to write words on them. So like if I go through it.
Do not, so when you bring your formula sheet, do not do anything to that formula sheet.
Okay, could I put it on a
Totally.
test or something?
Of course. You could put it on another sheet of paper, whatever. I love it. Yeah.
Can we add numbers to the formula sheet?
Like,
For all the ones that are for sample, but like they're 2 next to one.
Oh my god.
so that would be putting a symbol that represents the word that is what it is. So it's like using a different language, right? So no. So you know French, you can't put the population? No. You can't. Right, whatever it is, sorry. Anybody French? Anybody know what the word population is in French? Google, what's the population around? So no, that would just be another language. A numerical language is neato. I like that idea, but no, you can't use it anywhere. So I don't make you memorize formula, I make you recognize formulas. And you can be smart about how you organize it. I love it, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So are these the only formulas we can have, or can I put other formulas from previous
Alright, so let me say this. Anybody have any more suggestions about formulas that you want to include?
Why do we have Z on there?
The moment we're not review all chapters.
If we're not,
No, I'm just asking.
if we're not, what?
Nothing. Why do we have that?
Because I'm going to ask you questions about it.
On the test?
Yes.
We just did one.
We just did one on the bottom
Yeah.
of the practice.
Thank you.
So you put the range or
That is not.
frequency equation?
Oh, that's no. Oh, that's because there's no Z.
Oh,
Like, what the hell?
what is E there for a second?
You put the range or frequency equations?
Yeah.
Range you got to know.
I
I love the reaction.
But sometimes things get forced out of my brain when I'm just thinking about it. It helps me remind me, oh yeah, that's an equation that's out there too.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
But no. Yeah.
Is minimum and maximum the
So, that one problem we did with the quartile stuff and the min-max, and again, that was just one of many ways to figure out outliers for that situation. The only reason I put that down there was to put it in your brain that there are ways to more rigorously define what an outlier is. Now, the funny thing is, I use the word rigorous, but it's very vague as to how far do the outliers start. So I just want to put it out there that it doesn't have to be totally subjective. You can actually base it on certain ideas, but then different people disagree on what the idea is, how they should be used. So that's not a formula that I'm going to use again. It was just to kind of get us started thinking that there are ways to identify what outliers are more technically, not just subjectively. Yeah?
The one that's fine. I don't know if this is what you just asked, but the min and max would be like the median minus 1.5.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
The minus one?
Don't write those. Yeah. Yeah.
What about the percentile?
Yeah, there's no formula for that. There's like a two-step process. So processes don't go on formula sheets. Right, what?
Like the K over 100 times N.
Sorry. So, I mean, again, you got to know there's a certain level of a formula is required so you can work with it, and then you have to explain what you just found. That's fine. But then there's a reliance on the formula just to get me the number so I can get to the next thing. Percentiles, I don't want you to write the formula down because it's such a basic idea, right? The idea itself is pretty simple. So I'm not going to let you write that process down. And if it helps some of you guys, it's just because I'm evil. I took a class in grad school about how to be an evil teacher. Every teacher has to take it. I aced that. It's my favorite class. Most math people don't need that class. We're evil.
Just evil by nature.
By nature, exactly. So we gravitate towards the dark side. All right, guys. All right. So that's the only formulas you are allowed to have. If I see any other formulas on your formula sheet, no, you're going to lose points. If I see words, you're going to lose points. And what sucks about losing points on a formula sheet is those are points you can't get back.
You can't make
You can't correct them. I mean, that was a mistake you made. That was bad. You can't correct it. You can apologize, but yeah, you won't get the point.
Could you just go, will you just tell what each formula is so I can...
Oh, yes. So for yourself, so these two are both for the
That's the
mean
the sample.
population sample. This row is for the variance population sample.
standard deviation.
And this row is for the standard deviation population sample. And of course, those are for the z-scores population sample. So making columns of population and sample, that's awesome. It's a great idea. Everybody thank him. Beautiful. Just don't write population at the top and oh shit, you almost had it. Too bad. Okay, so let me do this. Let me give you guys the practice test. What's up? Oh yeah, try to switch it up sometimes. Oh, somebody. Oh. Thank you.
One of my math teachers used to do this, but it was like a packet. And it wouldn't be the same, but she would always tell us, like, if you get an A on this, you're like down to pass the test. It was like the best. This is so much. And what was cool is her stuff was always harder than the actual test. So I was like, this is why you're the teacher and I'm not.
Okay.